It's the track too tough to tame, but not too tough to bet. We make our picks for the Goodyear 400 for when NASCAR goes racing at Darlington Speedway this weekend. All this and more. It's the Backroad coming right at you.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race
Two from the States.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Backroad. It's In Between Media's NASCAR betting show. My name's Elliot Hicks, and with me, as always, is Seth Woolcock. Good to see you tonight, Seth.
Elliot, pleasure to be back with you tonight. We're licking our wounds a little bit from Martinsville. Sometimes you swing, sometimes you miss, but I think we're going to find those torpedo bats tonight, and we're going to be hitting some out of the park and just keep swinging because that's what we do here at IBT, baby.
Yeah, man, the balls go quite far with those, and it'll be quite fun to watch as we've got throwback weekend coming up, at least for most of the teams at Darlington this weekend. We will take a look back at Martinsville in the rear view, give you a news update. We'll give you a horizon forecast on Darlington, break down how the weekend's going to look, and then end it off with our parking garage props, our best bets for the Cup and Xfinity Series, and some F1 fun, we'll call it, to round out the show as they're back in action as well. Shout out to all the people in the fam here. Kush was first this week. That's kind of a surprise. Marcus just behind him. Kush, Bowman for the win. I love you for that, man, but Bowman sucks shit at Darlington.
Yeah.
Marcus, of course, Christopher Bell, and Stan as well with us. Haley at 350 to 1. That is one hell of a gainer, Stan. That'd be a fun one to watch.
Hey, man, I like it. Justin Haley, actually pretty good track record here at the track, too tough to tame. So don't mind that one. And yeah, I was a little bit slow with the upload of the thumbnail and getting everything set up for the stream tonight. But I mean, these guys are still right behind. I think they're 15 minutes behind me, maybe 5 every time. So we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every single week. It's a pleasure to be back on the Backroad, even though, we don't always come out winners. It's always fun to sit here and bullshit with everyone and get great ideas from the NASCAR gambling community as a whole. A reminder quickly, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please just do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We got NFL, college football, PGA, and entertainment betting, as well as our motorsports betting that happens right here on the Backroad, happening at IBT. So, Elliot, it's been a busy spring so far for us, and excited to continue to stretch our legs down south this weekend.
Yeah, man, no doubt about it. But a special shout out to everyone in the IBT Racing family, including the IBT Racing family, our Discord chat, which gives you access to our exclusive weekly betting model. You can join the conversation with myself, Seth, Rod, Ryan for my fantasy race, and the rest of the racing family there. Gives you entry into our memorabilia giveaways as well. We got another one of those coming up. The link to that in the episode description. We just asked for $3.99 a month or $36 for a year. Little small sprinkle of a bet, throw in there and have some fun with us.
Yeah, dude. Every Tuesday, I'm pretty religiously so far this season. I've been getting that model and projection sheet out to everyone, and it's been hot, dude. Like, the winner is usually somewhere within our top 4 or 5. So even if you've just been taking sprinkles on a bunch of the heavy favorite outrights, usually been cashing this season. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And a reminder too, make sure you guys are checking out the audio version of the show. We're uploading that weekly right now to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review on Apple, and we're going to be giving away some micro giveaways throughout the remainder of the NASCAR season, including that Josh Berry 164th that you have on you. I imagine somewhere over there, Elliot.
Yep, no doubt about it. And I'm even raising the stakes too for our first little micro giveaway. We got the Josh Berry as well. Throwback Ken Schrader, number 36 M&M's car.
Kenny.
2000. Go with a little old school and new school for that little micro giveaway. Shout out to everyone listening on the audio side as well, just like you said, Seth.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been such a fun season, and thank you guys for riding along with us. Shout out to our amazing back-end producer, Nicolette. She holds it down over on the F1 side of things as well, knows what she's talking about. Hit a couple dingers already so far this season, so make sure you guys are tailing her as well. But Elliot, what do you say, man? We got a loaded show. A lot of NASCAR news broke over the last 48, 72 hours. I'm sure we got to get to, as well as recapping that Martinsville race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll get to the F1 at the end. But we got to take it all the way back to last week first in the rear view. So at Martinsville, we saw some typical short track racing in the truck series. Spirited battle at the end kind of screwed over Corey Heim, the dominant truck, as well as Ty Majeski and Caden Honeycutt. And it led to a heck of a duel between two McAnally cars. Daniel Hemrick back to victory lane for the first time in the truck series and the first time in NASCAR since winning that Xfinity title. Passed his teammate Tyler Ankrum inside of 10 to go, gets the win and still has it, still able to do the backflip. So congrats to him. Xfinity, a complete shit show of a finish after what was a pretty good early part of the race. Austin Hill backs into one, gets the win in the number 21. Win number 100 for RCR in the Xfinity series.
Wow.
And in the series, Denny Hamlin, dominant, especially late on, gets himself back to victory lane for the first time since we were in Dover nearly a year ago. That blue number 11 looked nice in victory lane with all that tire rubber on the side too.
Man, what a crazy weekend, Elliot. And, just sticking to a racing standpoint, I thought the truck series kind of did their normal shenanigans at Martinsville. Wasn't anything crazy. Was really happy to see Hemi get that win. We're on currently a bet for a double top 10 for both him and another driver as well to finish top. I think it was Enfinger to finish top 10 in the standings. We're already halfway there with Hemrick locking himself very much into the postseason. So feeling really good about that one. So that was like the one bright spot to my weekend, man. And then let's go to that Xfinity race first. I think that's kind of where we have to start this because it was really the headline of the weekend. I was off with Eric Almirola. I was heavy on Almirola. I think, I got caught up in what he did there last year and just didn't really have the speed all weekend. It felt like when we got some of those longer runs, he was able to make his way up. He had that long run gainer speed, but we didn't get those long runs, especially in that last stage that was more caution laps than green flag laps. And then, I thought like we were good on Quapple. He gets taken about Austin Hill and company. And, then all shit hits fan. You can kind of speak on the rest of the race. But, I mean, what just an embarrassing move that happened there at the end. And that entire last stage. But Sammy Smith doing nothing to help his reputation right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, people were taking each other out left and right. But on the last lap, Taylor Gray looking like he's going to get his first Xfinity win. Sammy Smith comes from car lengths behind, tries to pull an Austin Dillon, destroys the front of his car as well as Taylor Gray. Gets Allgaier in a wreck, gets another 10 cars behind him in a crash. Austin Hill able to sneak through just in front of Sheldon Creed to claim the win there. But yeah, obviously not the best move for Sammy Smith. I kind of, I don't like the way they did it, but I understand these kids thinking that they have to do it, knowing that the win gets you in the playoffs, which is what really gets you where you need to go. But that definitely is what Sammy Smith did. Definitely a little across the line, and NASCAR thought the same.
Well, yeah, and NASCAR, we'll talk about it, but docks him some points for that. And I think Joey Logano said it really well in Sirius earlier this week, man. Like Joey Logano grew up getting paid to drive cars and work on cars. And nowadays it's kind of the other way. It's pay to play, right? Especially in the Xfinity and in the truck series. And that's what makes the story, like we talked about a couple weeks ago with Josh Berry, a guy who was working on late model cars for Junior Motorsports and really knew how to take care of his equipment, something to behold. And you just don't see that a lot in the Xfinity series, like so much now that Elliot, like Chris Wright finished P9 in that race. Like that's what we're talking about. And I just think it hurts the veterans. Like we were on Jeb Burton for a 4-1 gainer top 10, which he was running top 10 all race as well, gets taken out at the end there, finishes 11th. But I mean, he was ready to raise hell in the care center. Allegedly he got fined a couple sacks as well. So I think like now's the time, like we just need some of these guys who are going to go punch some people in the face, but with the security, you really can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like no one's really getting their ass kicked. Like, I mean, it's been multiple times now. Like Taylor Gray's pretty composed, I think, because he had all the right last year to throw hands with Eckes, and then here again. I mean, holy cow! I'd be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think he knows it's not going to do anything other than get him fined. He can be mad about it. Go beat him on the racetrack. He's in one of the best cars. And a lot of people, what they're saying is that not having the veterans in the series anymore. You're not racing against guys going back all the way to a Jack Ingram or a Mark Martin or Kyle Busch or guys like that in the series all the time. You have series vets like Allgaier, but they don't have the same reputation. Mark Martin damn near won everything but a Cup championship in his career. Kyle Busch won all the races he does. Justin Allgaier, the big series veteran, a guy who is there because he kind of flamed out in Cup and never got the good opportunity. So the respect factor is not there for the young guys. And Allgaier hasn't come out and said that, but I feel like him saying, I'm not that guy is partly for that reason. So that's another maybe an unintended effect of taking away the bushwhacking of the lower fools.
Yeah, and I think looking back on it, and maybe something to consider, like if I know that's the racing we're getting at Martinsville in the Xfinity series, like let's just not bet it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's
bet it like a super speedway, at least, thinking that it doesn't matter who's in the top 10 now. If 7 of them are going to get wrecked, then who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shout out to Chris Wright, who was able to capitalize. Daniel Dye back-to-back top 10s for that son of a bitch. If you had the long shot on him, Dean Thompson P6 and Brennan Poole P4, man. Like, so there is
in the dash for cash next time they do it in Bristol in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's really cool. It's great to see, but yeah, just calamity. And then I feel like we can go into that Cup Series race too. Then is like. I think I was off. I think I was off on the handicapping. I expected Ryan Blaney to be fast. Terrible Saturday from him. Had to make his way through the field. Eventually, I think he was another guy like Almirola on Saturday, right, who had the long run speed. It's just it felt like those tires, while they were the option tire that we saw a couple weeks ago, provide some great racing at Phoenix. They didn't fall off enough in Martinsville this past weekend. Like it was 60, 70 laps before they would really start feeling it. People would be wiggling around out there. But I think I was off on my handicap. I was very heavy on Penske. I was right about Joey Logano getting his first top 10 of the year. I also hit another number bet. I went under, what was it? I think a 15 and a half minus 124, but that was the only bet I hit on the weekend, man. Like I lost 1/6 of my bankroll, Elliot. I'm embarrassed. I feel bad for the show. I feel bad for my readers. I feel bad for all the IBT Racing family members who did follow us. Luckily, you had a really good weekend, as did Rod, helping people out, hit some bets. So at least I feel a little better having you as my co-host, man, because you had a great week.
Yeah, man, it's a tough world out there. At the end of the day, if you look at it on paper, the unit definition of 1/100th of a bankroll, I made almost 6 units. That sounds a hell of a lot better than, I made a couple of bucks. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad I squad rode with Rod on the Denny Hamlin outright. That ends up paying off. On the Chase Elliott outright over on Bet365, you can do the win show place for 4 places, and he got P4, so got a little bit back there. Gilliland with the top 10 was great. Logano ended up getting in the top 10. Like you said, I didn't have that bet, but it almost was a benefit to him to get spun out because everyone's tires degraded at the same pace. They all saved at the same point in stage 3. He was the only guy to make any passes in like the top 15 in toward the end of that race in the last 60, 70, 80 laps, if not longer. So that, the Cup Series race was a little more boring because of that, but predictable after the weekend that we saw was not a bad thing either. Hocevar over Gregson was one that hit for me as well. And then stage matchups, which was new over on Bet365, I believe. I talked about him in the Discord. Happened to hit JHN over McDowell in stage 1 at minus 110. So that helped me get a little bit too. Was excited about Ankrum in the truck race. Had a top 5 on him at plus 260, and also a matchup against Hemrick. That didn't work out. But, man, what could have been, I was riding the Caden Honeycutt 22-1 that I talked about in the Discord as well. That didn't work out. And then Lane Riggs over Ty Majeski also worked because of Majeski and Honeycutt kind of getting together. But, man, I came up empty in that Xfinity shit show also. So I don't blame you. I couldn't blame anybody for not being happy about what they saw in that race for any reason.
The Gilly top 10, 10-1 that you hit, that was that was a great bet when you said it on the show, and that was one I was going to put on my card, and then weekend got busy, just did not get to around it. That could have saved my weekend, man.
Yeah, that was the funny thing on my part. When I shouted it out on the show, it was plus 750.
Yep.
I forgot to bet it. I write down some of the bets. Some of them I bet when I talk about it. Some of them I'm like, okay, I'm going to get back to this. Because for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. And then I go back to it Sunday morning and it's at 10-1. I'm like, hell yeah, I still love this. He qualified all right and was able to make me a little bit more from my absent-mindedness. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, let us know in the chat, guys, how you guys did at Martinsville. Hopefully better than us. I saw some people on Twitter were shouting us out because they were riding a couple of both of our bets. So I appreciate coming through for those people. And we got Nick in the chat saying, what's up? What's going on, Nick? Laying out some of his top 5 picks for the weekend. He likes Briscoe. He likes Byron, Hamlin, Larson, and that Jones boy. We'll talk about that for sure. And also Nick saying he's down there and going to be down there at the Nashville race. That'd be a fun one to go to, Elliot. That should be a bucket list for us.
Yeah, no doubt. I know the track's a little bit away from city proper, but I'm sure it's certainly worth the trip. No doubt.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do well in Nashville because, like, it's a work trip for us. But it's like, you know me, when the country music gets going, a couple of Busch Lights get going, potentially some California smoke. Like, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time. I'm having a long time out there. So, like, it might be trouble down there on Broadway for your boy.
Yeah, hey, that's all right. I'll keep you in check. I'm more excited about the new Skrillex album that dropped this week than I ever will be about anything with country music. So we can play off each other well there if that ever happens.
Oh, it's our guy Christian, I think, for Twitter saying I followed the good ones. LOL. Yeah, appreciate it. I think he found us out on there on iFantasyRace.com. I think that's where he initially found the Backroad. So we appreciate Ryan. We'll talk more about iFantasy Race, the wonderful work they do over there. But yeah, appreciate you hanging out with us, Christian. Thanks for coming right over to the YouTube, man. This is your spot. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. iFantasy Race, always a godsend, including when we lost our login a little before the show. I'll have to give you shit about that one a little later. So in any case, let's talk about the news, and we'll start off with that Sammy Smith. He was docked 50 points as well as a $25,000 fine for his Martinsville actions. I think this is the perfect realm here. Some people are saying, oh, NASCAR should suspend him, or Dale Jr. should take him out of the car. A 50-point penalty is basically like losing a race without taking him out of the driver's seat. Very rarely, if ever, are you going to rack up 50 points in a race. So it basically takes away a whole race worth of points, but still gives you the opportunity to go out and make it up. People are saying, well, it doesn't mean much because of a win, but it's hard as shit to win these races, as you can see with Sammy Smith having to go to those lengths to think that he can do it. But regardless, I do think this penalty was justified.
Sammy Smith, if he's not careful, and I like Sammy Smith. Like, you know me, I used to like to fade Sammy Smith, and then late in the season, I was riding him in matchups, top fives all the time. Like, he came through for us, especially on some of those super speedways. I think he's a crafty little driver, but if he's not careful, man, like, this is the type of shit that makes you a career truck series guy, right? Like, he doesn't have enough upside, doesn't win enough races despite running in arguably the best or second best equipment in the Xfinity series to do this type of shit, man. And I think having Dale Jr. as an owner and hopefully as a mentor as well, he's in the right situation to make it work. I think this is a learning lesson from him. He's got that Flying J backing, so I think he'll be fine long term. But this is something like, I don't know if there's really I didn't know if before this there was really a Cup Series path for Sammy Smith, and it feels smaller. Maybe that's just recency bias, Elliot, but it feels smaller a little bit, the window for him to make that jump eventually after something like this at Martinsville.
Well, the thing is, though, these kids are so young. Like, he's got just a limited amount of experience, even though he's been around a couple years. These kids are so young. He can run 3 more years in Xfinity, still be at an appropriate age and time to jump up the Cup when it's ready for him. I think we've seen such an age of prospects coming up where we've seen lightning rods being able to make it through quick, or guys with the family connections like Ty Gibbs, who was also a lightning rod in Xfinity as well. We don't have to push all these guys to Cup right away. We can have some guys sit around in Xfinity for a couple of years, not really lose out on those opportunities because of how strong Cup is too. And then when they're ready, they're really ready with a few seasons, maybe 100+ starts in Xfinity, rather than, okay, you ran 1 year in ARCA, and then you ran 1 year in Xfinity, and now let's throw you in a Cup ride.
I'm glad I didn't bet on Sammy Smith last week because I thought about it, because his Martinsville stats in truck, in Xfinity, they're insane. So I'm glad I got to kind of avoid that, because that would have been a heartbreaker beat to see that happen. And then the same wreck, lose my Jeb Burton top 10. So yeah, that was a tough one. But
dude, I'd be even more heartbroken. I'd be even more heartbroken if I was on Taylor Gray. We should have been on him regardless of what happened.
Yeah,
because of how good he was in that truck race. I put it in the Discord during that race. I was like, man, regardless, we should have been on him. We definitely have to keep him in mind when we're back here in the fall, regardless of where he is in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, dude, I like Taylor Gray, man. He's a guy that last year at Pocono, you and I both after the race got to talk to him, and very well-spoken guy, and someone I think who realizes the type of equipment he's in. And hey, dude, he's shown a lot of fight early in the season. So Taylor Gray, absolutely a sleeper to watch, I think, rest of the way. I don't really know if there's any value out there probably in the futures market for him. I'd be curious to see what his championship line was, but definitely on a race-to-race basis, he's someone that you're keeping an eye out for. And like, the good thing about Taylor Gray, I don't know if you've seen this, but like, his truck series trends kind of translate to Xfinity. If he's good at a series in the truck series, or a race at the truck series, he's usually good at that same track in Xfinity, whether it's Pocono, whether it's some of these shorter tracks, usually translates for whatever reason with this kid, which I love from a betting perspective.
Yeah, that'll be important to watch when we bet the lower series. In terms of Cup news, we saw another Cup Series lawsuit. Legacy
Ooh.
Motor Club suing Ware Racing. They're attempting to back out of a charter sale agreement. Apparently, Ware Racing signed a contract to sell Legacy a charter in 2026. They intended to sell it in 2027. RWR trying to renege on that agreement, and Legacy suing. We don't have a whole lot of details. Most of the lawsuit details were blacked out, redacted. But the report is out there. And that's something really interesting because Rick Ware, of course, has Cody Ware's car.
Mhm.
And then their other charter is leased to RFK for the 60. Were they
Yes.
planning on yanking that away from RFK, handing it to Legacy? Were they going to get out of the full-time charter business in general? Really interesting to see that Ware still kind of cutting down, which it was good when they cut down from running 4 ship boxes every week, made some money, gave those charters to better teams that can go out there and win races. But definitely interesting to see RWR not done hacking away at their program.
This is the biggest roller coaster in NASCAR, man. Ware Racing. I mean, like you said, for years running out 4 ship boxes. When we used to play in our redraft fantasy football or fantasy NASCAR league, we were taking these guys like, oh, I guess give me one of the Ware ship boxes this week. See what can happen. Where was it, Quinn Hoff or whoever, Timmy Hill, whoever was driving those, and
some Yaley, some Garrett Smithley.
Yeah, and
shout out those boys.
Yeah, and he eventually makes his way up to the point where Rick Ware last year, super respectable. Kaz had some good runs in that car. Justin Haley had some good runs in that car. Even the Daytona 500 this year, despite putting his son back in the car, his son had a good run, top 10 finish potentially on the table. I've said this before, but if he started that last restart on the Daytona 500, Cody Ware on the outside, he wins the Daytona 500 instead of William Byron, but he's on the inside. So yeah, I really like the momentum this team was building, but at the same time, you can't blame them for wanting to get out if that is what happens here. Shout out Jordan Bianchi for kind of giving us the insight, keeping his head on a swivel out there, looking through some of these tea leaves that, okay, this was more of a situation where RWR was giving up one of these charters, and they were okay with it in 2027, but not 2026. So I don't know if it was they already had a deal signed with RFK to give them that for 2026, or it's oh, we didn't want to lose our full-time charter until then. So not really sure the situation here, but I mean, it potentially has a lot of implications, Elliot, because not only is Rick Ware Racing's future very much in question with no drivers outside Cody Ware signed right now, no development drivers or anything like that, but also what's going to happen with RFK, that third car. They just hired a bunch of people. Ryan Preece having a great season for them so far. And at the same time, Legacy going 3 cars, that feels a bit wild right now, man.
Right now it does, but what it shows is that Jimmy Johnson and his business partners over there, they're fucking serious about becoming a good team. And back a couple years ago, they're not going the JGR Alliance route that has killed Furniture Row and Levine Family Racing. They're doing it on their own, and it's been a slog. They've looked embarrassing even at times this year, but they're serious about making it work. And with a 7-time champ behind you, this certainly shows too they're serious about not being an embarrassment very soon.
Yeah, I mean, they're continuing to put money in. Buying a charter is not cheap, dude. That is not cheap. That is telling me you're going all in, which kind of ballsy at this point with not having real speed. But I mean, look, I think they have the drivers. I think at least Erik Jones is a good ass driver, man. I mean, it's been a bad piss poor couple of years since Legacy's taken over for him. But I also love John Hunter Nemechek. I don't think as much of a cup guy as I do Xfinity or trucks, but he's got some talent in there too, and just have to put it together. But yeah, hopefully this is a sign of things to come. But I'm not really sure how this works out here, Elliot. If things are as they're alleged, Rick Ware might have slapped his John Hancock on something and didn't realize what he did. That seems more likely and plausible, allegedly, than Legacy apparently going through and changing the dates after the fact. That doesn't seem like something that you would do.
Yeah, I don't think they pulled a Jimmy McGill on those documents, that's for sure. A silly one to end it off. This is just new in the last couple of hours. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and his legal team has filed a trademark opposition suit against Dale Earnhardt Jr. for his usage of the number 8. Of course, acquiring that DEI number 8 font has led to some new trademarks coming through. And I guess Lamar's legal team, they saw something against that. Lamar previously has sued or filed this trademark infringement. I think there are 2 different things in the legal system. against Troy Aikman for trying to use the number 8 for branding, and now doing the same against Dale Earnhardt Jr. because apparently NASCAR and the NFL and the things Junior are doing and the things Lamar Jackson are doing are just too similar. For Lamar, I think with him and his legal team, brain included, sold separately. I just don't think that this makes any sense, but it is funny and it is racing related. So any chance for a Pittsburgh fan to clown on a Baltimore Raven, I'll take that too.
So I'm not gonna lie, I've had a crazy busy day. I did not even see this news. I didn't know we were talking about this, so I'm in complete utter disarray right now. My goodness, like Lamar, you don't know who you're coming after, brother. You're coming after America's most prized person. Like if we had aliens come down here right now today, and they're like, "Hey, we need someone to come to talk to us, negotiate like what's going on to if we're gonna blow up this fucking planet." I'm sending Dale Jr., baby. I'm sending Dale Earnhardt Jr. up there, old Ralph, to get that done. Because, I mean, this guy's an icon. And what he does not only for NASCAR, but like sports in general, whether it was his coverage of the Kentucky Derby a couple years ago, or whether, it's kind of what we've seen in the college football world with how him and TJ Majors and those boys get like insane with their dynasty over there on NCAA 25. So, like, this is bad. I don't like this look for Lamar. Fuck you, Lamar. I'm just gonna kind of say that. I don't know how much longer we're gonna be able to say the F word on this particular program, so I'm gonna say it while I can. Yeah, dude, this is a bad look. Come on, like that's not hurting anything. Like, and he also like he paid for the font. Like, you know what I mean? He paid to get that trademark from Teresa. So I don't know what all this is about, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, so I'm sure, and what the article that I read saw is that between Aikman, Jackson, and Earnhardt Jr., they'll all use the 8 in their own ways and just make sure that they don't step over each other. Dale Jr. selling footballs with the DEI number 8 on it, maybe not. Lamar Jackson putting out a Baltimore Ravens die cast with the number 8, maybe that's no good either. Last comment from me on this is when Dale Earnhardt Jr. made his Cup Series debut in the Bud number 8 in 1999, Lamar Jackson, 2 years old.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah.
That's about all we need. Hey, that's about all we need in the rear view. I'm ready to talk throwback weekend at Darlington in the Horizon forecast.
Let's do it. Let's fire it up.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So we've got Cup and Xfinity at Darlington this weekend. Our entry list for the weekend are 36 chartered cars, as well as Austin Hill in the 33, not running a throwback, lame. JJ Yaley in the 44 is running a throwback. I wanted to shout this out. Wawa on the 44.
Yes.
The Bill Elliott Coors throwback as well. Apparently NY Racing 10 years ago was based out of Bill's shop in Dawsonville, Georgia. This one a really cool one that just came out today too. So I just wanted to make a little graphic to shout that out. Definitely a really cool paint scheme. We'll be doing this throughout the evening, showing off some of the special and throwback paint schemes running this weekend.
Two thoughts on this. One, I should have said at the top, I love throwback weekend. Love like the stashes and the facial hair people rip out, the fun hats, and like it's a great weekend. I think it's one of the true things that makes NASCAR unique is because we have such a long, historical, trendy culture. Like if you're out there ripping a NASCAR shirt out in public, like, it looks good. It looks good nowadays. Like even an old one, I love it. So appreciate that. Also, like shout out Wawa, man. Like you and I, Elliot, we're more Western PA kids than Eastern PA kids originally. So we grew up on Sheets, kind of their rival. Wawa's better. Like Wawa slaps, and it has been there a time or two for you after you and I have gotten done covering a race. The tracks treat us well. We get some food, but it could be 9, 10 o'clock by the time we get, we're heading back to the hotel or the Airbnb for the night. And all damn Wawa is always there for us. So appreciate you, Wawa. You got the nicotine, you got the hog. So we appreciate you, baby. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out Wawa. Shout out Sheets too. A little die cast of this car would be nice, just like the Sheets number 8 Tyler Reddick that I found out of nowhere at Dover last year, just like when Wawa was there for us. That one ran at Pocono in 22. Was going to be my white whale because I didn't pre-order it. Couldn't find it anywhere. And then I'm just walking around the merch haulers at Dover before we get started on Sunday, sitting in some random merch hauler. I get the last one. So
wow.
Worry about that.
Do you think they make JJ Yaley diecast like current ones?
They might throw it up for pre-order. I'm just saying. I know that Lionel Racing, with other things going on in the world,
let's go in. Let's go. If you get one and I get one, that's at least 2 orders. And if a couple of the IBT family members, like we might be catching some steam out here.
We might be able to hit the minimum order quantity for like the 124th Elite version or something. One of 20 IBT family exclusive diecast run. We won't be able to pull it off. Anyway, looking ahead at the weekend schedule for the Goodyear 400 Cup race, it starts on Saturday. The trucks are off this weekend. 10:05 a.m. on the CW app, Xfinity practice and qualifying. Then 12:35 on Prime, Cup P and Q. And then at 3:30 on the CW, the Xfinity race. Get ready for this mouthful. It's the Sport Clips Haircuts VFW Help a Hero 200. Stage lengths 45, 45, and 57 there for the second tier series. And on Sunday around 3 o'clock, FS1, it's the Cup race, the Goodyear 400, stage lengths 90, 95, and 108 for the Cup boys.
I love how Goodyear always sponsors like the best tire wear race, right? Like that's always like, oh, Goodyear's sweet. Like we got tire wear out here, baby.
Yep, and on the tires, they have a 100-year celebration of the Goodyear blimp on the throwback tires this weekend also.
Love the blimp, man. I always love when I'm at a sporting event. I'm like, yeah, Goodyear blimp's flying over. Like, how many are there? Like, there's only like 13 or 7 or something like that in the world.
I think there's only like 13 blimps in total in the world, and then a few of them are the Goodyear blimps. Even if you're not there, even if it's just around, I've had to work events in Pittsburgh before, but then the Steelers are over at Acrisure, and you can see the Goodyear blimp at campus, and then even that is really cool, even if you're not on site.
Yeah, Nicolette, can you do a little fact checking in the back end? Let us know in the private chat here what's going on with Goodyear, how many blimps we got. I think it's 7. I think you're right, because I always feel special when I see one, so I appreciate.
Yeah, there aren't as many blimps as you think. I know that for a few years there was like the DirecTV blimp, and then like MetLife blimps. Yeah. I don't know who else is sponsoring the blimps, but we know Goodyear's got them. Throwback design on the blimp as well, I think. This weekend.
God damn, that we need to get up in one of those. That'd be fun. I would love to be up.
I'm not much of a heights guy, but that you can go ahead and be the IBT representative on that.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Looking at Darlington Raceway in general, guys, this is a high tire wear skill. 1.366 mile intermediate track. It is egg shaped, if you remember as well. When they built it back in the day, they had the minnow pond that the man who sold them the land didn't want to that pond removed. That was part of the deal. So very, very unique track. We have no primary comp tracks that we can compare this to. However, if you look at some secondaries, you can look at Homestead. I did pull that data into our model specifically because we only had one race in 24 that I pulled, and I also pulled the most recent race just 2 weeks ago, which that was handy to have, Elliot. That felt good having that. Dover, people also compare Dover to it, Elliot, but to me, I didn't want to include that in our projections data just because I feel like that's very, very debatable. Dover is high tire wear, but I don't even know if I would necessarily call it an intermediate track.
Yeah, definitely a little shorter. And I feel like if Dover were 3 weeks ago and Homestead was 2 weeks ago, then the recency bias could really factor that in. But you're right. We haven't been to Dover since last April. We're not going there again until mid-July or something this year. But I do like Homestead as a comp, especially because we were just there. If you're going to run well there, run poorly there, it's probably not going to change too much 2 weeks' time.
Confirmation on the Goodyear blimp. There are 3. Are these just good? I think these are just Goodyear blimps. Yeah, it's 3 in the U.S., 1 in Germany at the moment. Okay.
Okay, right. Germany. All right.
What do they got?
Bundesliga blimp.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Little soccer.
Okay. Yeah, just Goodyear. Got it. Well, thank you, Nicolette. We appreciate that information. Looking at some Goodyear or some Goodyear 400 Darlington trends in general. Active next-gen pole winners include Joey Logano. He has 2 of them. Bubba Wallace has 1. Tyler Reddick has 1 as well. And in fact, 2311 swept the pole here last season. I really hope it's one of those situations, not like Kansas last year where they dominated in 2023 and then were kind of ass in 2024. But nonetheless, 2311, the trends like them. Chris Bell also has a pole here. HMS has not won a pole at Darlington, the track too tough to tame, since 2019. Toyota, 4 straight poles here for the Yoders. I like Toyotas a lot this weekend. Looking some race trends in general, Elliot, the next-gen winners have come from the front row 33.3% of the time. The top 5, 66.7% of the time. And outside the top 10, 33.3% of the time. The deepest in the field to win this race in the next-gen era at Darlington, Kyle Larson, 18th in the fall of 2023. Any thoughts on those trends? And I think you also have some other trends that you wanted to throw out here as well.
Yeah, I saw this was really interesting from NASCAR Insights, I believe, that does factor in that you probably do have to start pretty well here, which makes sense. The winner of all 14 Darlington races in the stage racing era, of course, from 2017 to the present day, have scored stage points in both stages.
Wow.
That's 28 in total. And that's Darlington, the only place on the schedule since 2017 where that's the case. So generally to get points in stage 1, you're going to have to be near that top 10. It's pretty short. There's not a lot of pit opportunities or passing opportunities. So that certainly speaks to, if you're going to win this race, you do probably have to qualify fairly well, get those stage points. Just because Darlington's one of those places, if you've got a damn good car, you're going to have a damn good car, and it's tough to fix and get on that level during the race.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, like, this really tells me, man, like, I love Darlington. This is a great live betting race. This is a great race to also bet after practice and qualifying. This is one race, like, I hate to say it, but if you are starting outside the top 20, unless you're someone like a Kyle Larson, like a Denny Hamlin, I don't feel great about it. So this is one you're going to have to be up front for most of the day to come away with, especially what we've seen fuel mileage come into play at this race before. We've also seen late race fuckery. Last year in this race, we had some Chris Buescher tickets that went up in smoke, but we also had some Brad Keselowski tickets that came through for us. So something to keep in mind there. And any other trends, Elliot, before we jump over some iFantasyRace.com Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week?
Yeah, no other trends, but also fuckery last year. Kyle Larson had the race, one late caution, gives it to Chase Briscoe over Kyle Busch.
Very true. Yeah, in the fall. Yeah. Good call. What do you have here over from iFantasy Race, Elliot?
Yep. So this week's iFantasyRace.com Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week. Shout out to Ryan from iFantasy Race. Josh Berry this week is the guy that I wanted to look at running that beautiful number 21 car this weekend. Last summer, Berry looked to be a top 5 contender in that number 4 for SHR, finished an asterisk mark 31st in the race. Berry started P15, finished 9th in stage 1. There's your stage points. Finished 7th in stage 2. There's your stage points, both stages. Could have had a shot, never know. Made it all the way up to 5th on lap 327. Then shortly after that, following a restart, had an aggressive move that Berry made, and it caused a big one to ensue, and it turned out to knock him out. Total speed rankings in that race, Berry was 4th. So he definitely had a damn good car, and that was nearing the death of SHR. Of course, we know that they ran well enough to win that race with Chase Briscoe, so they definitely had some speed. But especially with what we've seen from Berry the last few weeks, winning at Vegas, running well at tracks like Phoenix, as well as running decent at Martinsville before having that battery issue after getting hit on pit road, Berry definitely an underdog to watch this weekend. You can't rule him out for a really good run.
Yeah, and if you remember at Homestead as well, had a pretty good run going at Homestead just here recently. I believe that was the day he got spun in the pits or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. He and Logano got together on pit road. So Berry, one of those guys, if he puts together incident-free races and, of course, 2 pit road incidents screwing you over, we could be sitting on Berry having a heater of 4 top 10 or top 5 runs in a row, heading to a place where he was going to run top 5 last year.
Yeah, he was still 12th at Homestead earlier this season in average running position, and it would have been easily a top 10 car. We had a really nice 10-1 top forward on him that day that did not come through because of that. But yeah, I like Josh Berry a lot, man. And I like him better, like just as much as any Penske cars this week. So not high on Fords in general, but he is definitely one to keep an eye out for. And as always, shout out to Ryan over there at iFantasyRace.com. We appreciate you, man. Always making us better, smarter sports bettors, NASCAR fantasy players as well. So thank you for that, Ryan. And always cool to see too. Like I think our guy Christian came over from there last week as well, who saw us over there. So we appreciate everything he does for us, man. And I want to shout out our guy Bob as well. Bob hanging out with us. What's up, Bob? Bob's one of our best friends, and in this business, man, we got the chance to chill out with Bob, have a couple cold Busch Lights after the Dover race last year. Like, well, you weren't drinking Busch Light, I don't think.
I don't remember what I was drinking, but I'm definitely bummed that Dover's not on our schedule this year because of that.
I know.
Missing out on that opportunity, but we'll definitely be back, Bob. Don't worry. We had a lot of fun at Dover too. In any case, though, man, let's crack open the books with this week's parking garage props. In terms of impressions of the books this week, there was nothing too surprising for me. Things, of course, about as chalky as I would expect for a race like this, and the way things have gone lately. I feel like after a race where you don't have a lot of passing and you have a winner that's generally expected, even though Denny hadn't been to victory lane in almost a year, pretty much every week Denny's in that top 5, 6, 7 guys to win. The next week you kind of see things a little chalkier, I feel like.
Yeah, I felt very similar. There wasn't a lot I liked out there on the books. I like some matchups that I was toying around with. Didn't like a lot of placement odds, and I've been terrible at placement props this whole season, so I was kind of trepidatious over there. And I don't know if it is what you said, like just not a great race last week. I think it was the first like race that I voted no on the Jeff Gluck. Was it a good race poll? But I also got my ass handed to me. So it's like, I don't know if I'm just feeling that way, but yeah. So still happy to see a lot of offerings out there, the books. So we do appreciate that. Also want to shout out our guy FF Sportsman. I think that's a new face in the chat tonight. What's up, Sportsman? We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. I hope you're having a great Thursday. And just a quick reminder to all of you guys, easiest way you can support Elliot, myself, everyone here at IBT Media. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Also subscribe to the channel. We got NFL, college football, NASCAR, PGA, and of course some entertainment betting as well happening over here at IBT. But Elliot, anything else? Your thoughts on just the books in general? Because it was what it was this week, I felt like.
Yeah, I would just shout out the chat. Throw any bets that you might like out there. Because
Yes.
Seth, you're doing the smart thing this week. You just said you didn't like the numbers that much.
Yep.
You didn't have the best week at Martinsville. You got a light card tonight, man. So I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. So chat, if there's anything that you like, if you have any comments about these bets, feel free to chime in as well. Because I certainly could use some help and certainly could shut up for a little bit, I'm sure, during this. But I feel like I got to start this week at the same place that we won with last week, and that's with the Denny Hamlin outright, running that beautiful Carl Edwards off a Steepo throwback this week. Carl Edwards going to wave the green flag to start the race too, going into the Hall of Fame, of course, this year. Like I said, the squad ride with Rod worked out really well. He wasn't really on my radar. Rod shouts him out. I'm like, fuck it, that seems like a good bet. He's 9-1 this week, even better numbers. I don't see why he can't keep it going. A guy like Denny Hamlin, a guy who's clearly not done with winning, had that 11 against the world flag out there, running that Ohio State red, where that comes from.
Son of a bitch.
I like the 11, and he's going to one of his favorite tracks. This year, having the win makes his year look a lot better. He's had 4 top 6s this year in the 6 races, and a P5 at Homestead a couple of weeks ago, which is our closest comp. And like I said, Darlington, one of his faves. Over his career, 4 wins, exactly 1,000 laps, led in the Cup Series, as well as 3 top 7 finishes in the Next Gen and in the Xfinity Series. Traditionally, when he would run Xfinity, it'd be usually just this race for a few years there. For his career, though, 6 total wins here in the Xfinity Series, and he also crossed the line first in 2019, one of Dale Jr.'s races, but he was DQ'd, and Cole Custer got the win in that one. Last year ran pretty well here, too, with a P4 and a P7. Once again, when you can get the monkey off your back, why not just keep it rolling? Denny Hamlin, I don't know if he'll do a backflip if he wins in the Carl Edwards car, but boy, that'd be fun to watch.
I don't mind this 9-1 shot on him, man. Like, he is ranked, number 1 in our, or at least tied up there with Tyler Reddick for number 1 in the projection. So,
shame on me for not even mentioning that. I have it. Hamlin is also one of my picks in the betting article that'll come out that gives you a top 10 preview of our model, as well as kind of breaks down what it's made up of. Hope you guys have been enjoying that this year. And I had it on the little paper that I wrote it down on to write the article, and it just didn't make it over to the show sheet. But shout out to our model as well, powered by a fantasy race, and you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, just so consistent, man, whether it's Homestead earlier this season, whether it's the Darlington races last year, Denny's one of the best here. He knows how to, conserve his tires. We saw it again last week. And like, also in addition to those great runs, also had a great run to open up the season too at the Cookout Clash down in Bowman Gray. And I thought what he said on DJD this week was pretty interesting, that like, he was very candid about, the situation at JGR seems like it's a little bit strained after Chris Gabehart goes to a competition director role and he gets put with Chris Gale here. I feel like he's like, it's late in his career and he's like, I don't want to switch crew chiefs, but I mean, Chris Gale's got him firing on all cylinders right now. So honestly, Elliot, I might be taking a look at this too. I don't really have a lot in the outright market so far this week. And Denny Hamlin 9-1. I do want some exposure to Hamlin, trying to figure out whether it's a pre-flop or a post-flop, but I was seeing around 7.5, 8 a lot this week. So I see FanDuel's out there with a 9-1. I don't hate this.
Yeah. And if Denny's not happy at JGR, he's got a Cup team. He can go slide into one of those slots. I don't know how soon you throw Riley Herbst out of that ride, but certainly got if you had to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll throw out the one outright I'm down on currently, and just a little sprinkle here, just a half unit flyer on my guy Chris Buescher, 30-1 at BetRivers. Really just a numbers play for me, Elliot. Like, disrespectful as fuck line to me. He was 7th in our projections, and I think he would be even higher up if Reddick didn't wreck him going for the race win last year, a year ago at this very track in this very race. he's somehow 13th highest odds to win in the outright market. That's why I can tell like there's some value here, right? Not only do most books have this around 22 to 1, 28 to 1, I've seen a 26 to 1 floating around there as well. But so there's obviously some value at BetRivers, but at the same time, there's just value overall. Like, why are Kyle Busch's odds shorter? Why are Ross Chastain's odds shorter? They really shouldn't be. So 30 to 1 here on Chris Buescher. I couldn't help but myself take a little bit of a flyer. Do I think Chris Buescher can win? Probably not. But at the same time, like, he would have, if Reddick doesn't wreck him out of that race last year, that would have made 4 straight top 10s at Darlington for the Bushwhacker. So he's in the competition. He's out there running it. And he finished 6th at Homestead 2 weeks ago, had some really good consistent speed, 11th best average running position on the day, 11.6, spent 83.9% of the laps inside the top 10 there at Homestead down in Miami just a couple weeks ago, our closest comp track. So I think Buescher's a top 10 car, and I don't think there's a lot of top 10 cars out there that have 30 to 1 odds. So that's the play here, Elliot.
Yeah, I don't hate this at all. Certainly liking some RFK numbers this week. Brad Keselowski probably should thank his lucky stars that Reddick wrecked out Buescher, because we could still be sitting here on 4 years without Brad having a win.
Yeah.
If we can get that. RFK definitely something good to look at here. I will say, with Chastain and Busch having higher odds than Buescher, probably recency bias. They both ran really well in the fall race, won by Briscoe.
Sure.
But I do like RFK here a lot. And I think anything, even maybe like a 20 to 1 on Buescher, I kind of don't hate it, just because he's one of those guys that is still, I feel like every year until he goes out and wins or goes out and rips out a really dominant stretch of races, we always kind of underrate and undervalue Chris Buescher, just kind of as a whole NASCAR fandom industry, not necessarily us or even the betting industry. But Buescher, one of those guys that's, he's one of those guys that's like, he's not always a threat to win, but he's always a threat to win when everything goes right, if that makes sense.
Well, and if you remember too, like I got a 40 to 1 championship future on him just because there's a little bit of value there opening up in the season. It's now down 19 or not 19 to 1, but like closer to 35, 30 to 1 at most books. So yeah, I still like Chris Buescher on the season, and this was one of the tracks I think he can win at. So makes sense for me to back him. I love the number 30 to 1. You know, maybe I'll take a stab at a top 10. I was really looking for a matchup with him. I only saw one against Brad, which I was like tempted to do just because like Brad's been running like shit this whole year. So that might be something else I'm looking at Chris Buescher. If you guys, again, if you're over there at the IBT Racing family, if you're in the Discord, we'll have more bets later this weekend as we see practice, as we see qualifying. Link is in the episode description if you want to check out that and everything we got to offer over there. But I just love Chris Buescher this week, and I wanted to get in early in this 30 to 1. Elliot, you have another outright, I believe, but kind of sticking with this Ford camp a little bit.
Yeah, I like Chris Buescher, and I like the rest of the Fords too. The Ford outright at plus 250 over on Caesars. You know me, when I shout out manufacturer outrights, 9 times out of 10, it is because the other two are up kind of similar to each other and far enough ahead of the third that I'm like, why in the world is this happening? Toyota and Chevy are both around 150 plus 150 plus 155 in most books. And it's another one of those, Ford is behind for no good reason outrights. If you look at the stats here at Darlington, in the next gen, Ford has won 3 of 6. They won both last year, and of the last 13 races here, Ford has won 6. That comes out to a percentage of 46% of the last 13 races here. Any of the Penske cars or any of the RFK, that includes Barry, or any of the RFK cars winning here would not be a shock. So that's 7 guys. I know that's one of those things where it's the same as on restrictor plates. Toyota's always behind because they don't have as many cars out there. But like a guy like Logano or Blaney winning here would be no surprise. We saw Brad win here last year. We saw Buescher should have won here. Briscoe's not in a Ford anymore, but we saw Ford win here in pretty successful fashion last fall. Plus 250 is not a crazy far away number, but Ford being behind here, like I said, makes no sense, and it's worth throwing some coin on.
Yeah, I really like Yoder this week. Like Yoder did rate out well. 4 of the top 6 in our projections were Yoder's. But you do have Chris Buescher coming in at 7. You have Brad right behind him. You have Logano. You have Barry rounding out the top 11. So, like, there are guys who can win this. I'm low on Ryan Blaney this week. Like, the projections did not like him at all. But he did have...
Keep in mind, though, he's another... You might have been about to say this, so sorry if I cut you off. Wrecked on lap 2 last fall. Could have had a lot better car. Could have qualified for the Asterisk mark report.
Yeah, 100%. That goes into this, and also like had a rocket at Homestead and got caught up into some shit too that day. So like the numbers just hated Blaney. Like I didn't want to. There are a couple matchups I almost just faded. Like I mean, he also screwed me over last week, so I was kind of ready to fade him a little bit. But Yeah, like you're usually right when it comes to these like long when these you always know when these manufacturer numbers get a little too long. So I don't hate this. I don't hate the Toyota number either, but Ford to win, not a bad call there from you at all.
Yeah, and I really didn't think of it this way until you were just talking about it. But especially with how much of a rocket Blaney had at Homestead, our closest comp, I almost want to think about getting down on the Blaney outright now because he's pissed. Things haven't gone his way. He's running a throwback to the Haas Avocados 32 that Dave Blaney got his Xfinity win in at Charlotte in the mid 2000s. There, it could be a Blaney week. I don't have anything on the card, but now that you mention it, I'm almost kind of willing to flip the complete other way.
I guarantee this is the 1 week I'm fading Team Penske, and they'll go out, and I've been betting them all season. So you're probably onto something. Like here's what you need to keep in mind for Ryan Blaney: 4th in the Darlington Next Gen Total Speed rankings. Okay, so top 4, bottom 12 in finish average in that same span. So he just doesn't get the finishes here. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it. I think this team's a little bit of a mess, but I'm sure we'll get to that. Let's go to placement props here, Elliot. I'm staying free of these right now just because one of those situations I can't hit a placement prop to save my life. So unless they're like 8-1, that seems the only way I can hit them right now. And I thought about a little Colt Custer at 14, but instead of that, I'm gonna stay stagnant here. But you have a couple here, so let's run through them, and then I'll kind of give you my feedback on whether I like any of them.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, hey, Custer could be in that Ford to win as well. In terms of placement props, I'm kind of having the opposite luck as you. Granted, I am throwing out anywhere from 2 to 6 or 7 of them a week. So the odds are good on hitting some of them, but I'm feeling confident about them. So I got 3 that I picked out for the show tonight. The first one, a top 5 for Bubba Wallace, all the way up at plus 450 on Bet365. He's been a legit contender this year. He's had, I believe, the most laps run in the top 3 and the top 5 this season. I don't remember where that stat came from, so apologies for no credit there. He's been a contender this year. He's been P3 the last 2 weeks at Darlington, 9th, 5th, 7th, 7th, and won the pole last fall, finished P16 in that race. But those are his last 5 races at Darlington. For a top 5 being that long, definitely seems like a shock to me.
That's a great number, dude, because everywhere else for Bubba Wallace right now, just so you know that I'm looking at, outside of Bet365, plus 250 is the best number. So this is a misprice. This is something. If this is still there after the show, I'll probably be down on it with you. Good call out there, like that.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before the show. If you have access to Bet365, their numbers on NASCAR definitely a little more generous than some of the American-based books. So something to watch. One here that was called out from the comments. If I can hit the right button and bring them back up here. Here we go from Nick. Top 10 for Erik Jones. And that's one of my ones that I've got here as well. Sorry if I messed up something on there.
Oh, you're good.
It's on the back end. Here we go. Let's get the comment out of the way. And there's the graphic with the Advent Health throwback on the 43 this week. This one plus 325, the best number over on BetMGM. We talked about how Legacy is not in the best place right now. They're still working out the kinks, but they have the drivers behind them. And their improvements can only help someone who is as good here and as good in general as Erik Jones is. When he was in the good JGR equipment, he was never worse than P8 here. Got that pretty dominant win in 2019 in a nice little late night race, a little rain, hurricane delay there, whatever happened. And he won this race in the playoffs in 2022, not this race, but the fall race. And that was in at least just as shitty, if not a worse 43 car, the petty GMS days back in that day. Fall of 2023, he got a top 10 as well. Last year, it wasn't as great. P19 and P24, one of those races had somewhat of a power steering issue that hurt him. 2 weeks ago at Homestead, though, P15. I know that's not a top 10, but I feel like Jones also likes Darlington more than Homestead.
Yeah, I love Erik Jones, man. Like he is someone who, in Darlington numbers specifically, he pops. He really does. He comes in 19th in our projections. And the tough thing about that is like, doesn't really, I mean, like had a decent run at Homestead. Like he was bottom 13 in average running position, but he did finish, top 15 at Homestead. So there's a chance that this is the time he can cash top 10. I just need a longer number than this. Like that's the thing. I need a 4-1. I need a plus 450, something like that to really get down. But I do like Erik Jones, man. Like this is such a talented driver. I hope we don't see like the way, like I'd almost rather see him just run Xfinity at this point. Cause I love this kid. Like, dude, you remember I used to always have Erik Jones in our NASCAR fantasy redraft league back in the day. Like that was always, he was like my driver one some years. Like I was all in on him back in those Joe Gibbs racing days.
Well, the thing with Jones is he's still one of those guys that's fairly young. I think he's low 30s.
Yeah.
It's not even that old. As legacy continues to build, if he sticks around there and builds with them, he could be a guy that, I mean, imagine being the top driver for Jimmy Johnson's team when it's hitting its stride. You could see Jones as a contender in his late 30s for multiple wins a year and a playoff berth yearly in this 43 car if legacy gets to where they're wanting to go.
Yeah, I agree with you at that there. The long-term upside for Erik Jones is definitely there. We got Eric in the chat. I believe him from over the Hot Pass podcast, plus 225 now. Elliot, you once again beat the market, my friend.
And I'm hoping I didn't make a mistake and accidentally say that was the top three. Top five. I'm not certain. I'm pretty sure that it was. I looked at this this afternoon on Bet365. But with the amount I was flipping around, it may have been a mistake that I made. So if someone can look at the top three, and if the top three is plus 450, then you can still mark me down as taking the top three. He's been P3 the last 2 weeks at tracks that have been worse on paper for him than Darlington. So
Also,
I don't even hate it if that's the top three.
Also, shame Elliot, please. Shame Elliot while you're doing that. Just let him know he's a piece of shit.
Whether it's a shame or not, like if we make a mistake here, like I did this the other week, that's a top three number, 450. Okay, so then we'll say that the graphic was wrong and that I'm down on the top three. Because Lord knows I might have betted and thought it was the top five. Anyway,
dude, wait, just to kind of allegedly a couple weeks ago, I had a Chase bet that I bet Chase over Ross, and then I went to look at it on Monday after it cashed, and it was not Chase over Ross. Apparently, they also had a Chase over Logano. Luckily, BetRivers always helping a brother out because I had a screenshot of the bet. The bet I hadn't placed the bet, but I had at least had a screenshot of the bet. I was like, hey, this is one I meant to place, and they're like, I talked about it and I literally gave them the timestamps from this video. And I said, hey, go. So BetRivers helped me out there, but been there, done that.
BetRivers watching the show. How about it?
Yeah, let's go. Little BR.
Man, and I tell you what, Nick in the comments reading my mind, my other placement prop is a Ryan Preece top 10 at plus 250 over on Bet365. Last 3 weeks, P3, P9, P7, and he's still got this long odds for a top 10. Preece is legit. We've seen it now, and we know that RFK kicked ass here last spring. They've run well here in the past as well. We like him this weekend. I'm sticking with Preece here. He's been kind of unspectacular here in the past.
Yeah.
But he has been the last 3 tracks we've been to too, and was able to pull out the top 10s. We've talked about a few of these drivers. I think that a couple guys who have been running well lately, this is a hot take, kind of a more general thing, maybe not so hot a take of how well they're running. I think in the next 10 races, which I think takes us out through Pocono in June, in the next 10 races, we're going to see Preece get a win. We're going to see Bubba Wallace get a win, and we're going to see Alex Bowman get a win. Next 10 races, all 3 of those guys, really impressive starts to the year for those guys. I think they all lock in the playoff spot in the next 10 weeks.
Hey, I'd be all right with that. I got that Bubba over 0.5 wins, so I would be really happy with that. And yeah, Ryan Preece has been tricky because he's been close to top 10 projections in our model the last 2 weeks. He was last week, and the week before I really liked him as well. I had him top forward, and I didn't take the top 10 because the top 10 lines, the books also know this guy's a lot better than he ran last year in that shitty SHR equipment. And I do like this entire team. Like this week, Preece's numbers, like he doesn't jump out. I mean, he's 15th in the projections again this week. Like that's not bad. Like I would love to bet Preece and Jones both in a matchup. I've not found any matchups with these guys the last couple weeks, but I would love to bet matchups with these guys. This is what I want to see. Like when we critique the books, when we say impressions of the sports books, that's what I need. I need some Ryan Preece matchups in my life, Ellie, because I agree. I like Ryan Preece this week.
Yeah, man, I would love to see some wild matchups. We got him in the standings matchups. I have a Noah Gragson over Saint Smith in the points, but we don't see him enough on a weekly basis. I would certainly be degen enough to bet some, Cody. Last week, I'd bet Casey Mears over Burt Myers or something like that. Give it.
Did you really?
No, I'm saying if we would get that, would be, we would be degens enough to go that far if the books gave it to us. I've been more of a placement props guy. You've been more of a matchups guy. You've got a matchup this week that I'm intrigued to hear about.
Yeah, and just like kind of like on the matchup standpoint there as well. I tweeted out a couple weeks ago. It was where were we? I think we were at Phoenix, and it was like you could have bet like SVG over I don't even know who, and like there was one that was like Ty Dillon versus someone. Like it was some real degen shit. Riley Herbst was in one of those, and I tweeted that out. I said this has to be the most degen matchup I've ever heard, and I had people saying, Oh, back in 2016, I was ripping Quinn Hoff versus like Timmy Hill and shit. I was like, man, those I wish, we weren't legal sports betting age at that point, but yeah. So I just find that funny. But so I talked about earlier kind of how I wanted to fade Blaney, and I found a Hamlin matchup against him that I really kind of am still potentially looking at. But the team I like the most this week is 23-11. I haven't found a lot of creative ways to get down on them. That plus 450 would have been awesome for a top 5. But I'm going to go 23-11 minus 125 at Caesars versus Team Penske. This opened at a pick'em. I thought about it last night. I didn't get down on it quick enough. And yeah, I'm taking the heel turn here. It's probably going to bite me, but I'm out on Penske this week. Blaney is 20th in our projections. Cindric 21st. Joey is 10th. But between whether it's pit road issues for Joey Logano, whether it's motors blown for Ryan Blaney, or apparently there's a battery issue now going around with Josh Berry and Austin Cindric, this team's kind of a mess right now, dude. And 23-11 is on an absolute heater. You already talked about it earlier. Bubba coming off back-to-back top 3s right now, including one of those at Homestead, our closest comp track. Reddick was 8th at Homestead that day, sits 7th in average running position this season, 11.7. These guys are both top 10 in the points. And Reddick, he ranks 2nd in our model this week, man. 4th in the Darlington Next Gen average finish, 11.8. And again, that could be way higher. He could be number 1 in that stat if he didn't take himself and Chris Buescher out last year. Also 2nd in the total speed rankings during that span. Bubba Wallace, on the other hand, he's 5th in our projections. Also 4th in the Darlington Next Gen average finish, tied with Tyler Reddick at 11.8. So 23-11, they beat Team Penske at both the past 2 Homestead comp tracks. And also, they've been 3-1 since Reddick has joined this team as well against Penske. So I'm going to back Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, the boys. Let's go. I love that graphic too. Shout out, MJ. Let's go.
Yeah, MJ for sure. It's funny. I like that this was a pick'em. I don't know if it still is, but I like you said it opened as one.
Yeah.
And normally it's funny because normally Penske is the team with speed and gets the finishes, and it's 23-11 with the speed that has things go wrong for them. But I mean, I'm down on Ford. I like the 23-11 guys. I think Bubba's going to run well. Overall, I'm thinking Penske this week more important than Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay. Really? Wow. I mean, it is 2-on-3, so I get it. Now, I just don't think, like, maybe Blaney has that same speed at Homestead, but other than that, like, I don't see me getting beat this way. But yeah, Bob's riding with me, old Toyota, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Nick asking who's everyone's winner in the chat. Let Nick know. Yeah, weigh in, guys. We want to hear from you. Let Nick know. Let us know who you guys are picking. Let us know how you feel about the bet so far. I think we have a couple. No, I think you have a matchup, right? You got a matchup or no? No matchup?
No matchup anymore. We got a couple specials though, and this is funny because we've got both sides of the same one that we didn't plan this at all. My thought was over on Bet365, and I think it was similar odds on Caesars where you have it. Even number to win, I saw it was a plus 130 on Bet365. Even at plus 130, odd all the way down at minus 160. So you've got enough guys here that it kind of evens out. I did some of the math here. Guys who could potentially fathomably win the race. On the even side, the 6, the 8, the 12, the 20, the 22, the 24, the 48, the 54, and the 60. That's 9 drivers. 6 of them probably a really decent shot. The other 3 maybe not so much. And then I went to the odds. You got 11 drivers that are kind of within reason. The 1, the 5, the 9, the 11, the 17, the 19, the 21, 23, 43, 45, and 99. 11 drivers, maybe also 7 of them that have a really good shot. This was a really weird disparity for me. I like the plus money side. I do understand, though, with some of those odds, why you're liking the minus money side, but I'm marking my spot on the even number. I don't know if you want to call that red or black on the roulette wheel. We'll call it black, and you can take the red.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I should just only be betting number bets. I've hit every number bet I bet so far this season. The only one I didn't hit, it was a parlay, and I still hit the number part of it. So I'm going 4 units down on the odd card number to win here. This is a big bet for me, biggest bet of the weekend. And look, 6 of the top 7 in the projections, Elliot, are odd numbers. You're going against IBT if you do this. And like, let's talk about those drivers, like more specific. You get Denny Hamlin, who we both think could win this race. You get Tyler Reddick. You get Kyle Larson. Like between those 3, I think those are the heavy favorites for a reason. If I'm going to go out, bet a bunch of outrights, it's probably going to be on those 3 guys. You also get Bubba Wallace, who we talked about that we're both high on. You get Chase Briscoe, who won this race last year in way worse equipment. And you get Chris Buescher, who we also talked about. The only one in the top 7 of our projections that you don't get is William Byron. And he's fucked me before, so I'm sure he'll do it again here. But like, I'm also getting Josh Berry, who we talked on. Josh Berry could have speed. Chase Elliott, who he doesn't project out very well, 14th, but Chase Elliott can be a threat at times. Ross Chastain, and if it really hits the damn fan, Erik Jones as well. So, like, I just don't know. Like, you're banking on one of the Penske boys getting hot, or you're banking on Brad or William here. And I'm just not willing to take that gamble. I'm going to go with the guys who've shown speed on this type of track so far this season. I'm willing to drink that heavy glass of juice, minus 160. Giddy up.
Yeah, but there's an argument to go in depth on some of these other guys too. Keselowski won this race last year, and I feel like his crew is going to know, hey, so we've run like shit this year. We're going to have to win a race. The super speedways are a mess. We've got the Darlington setup nailed. We kind of fucking have to go all in to try to win Darlington in that Castrol 6. Kyle Busch ran second here last fall. A guy who still is looking for that the cup win that hasn't had in a while.
But he was terrible. Kyle Busch was terrible at Homestead. Brad not good at Homestead. Brad not good in the fall.
You said it yourself. We were having Homestead as a comp for the numbers, and I don't disagree with that. That little egg-shaped Darlington is kind of its own monster. We're both different on Blaney because of that. Chris Bell's a guy this year who's got the speed to come out and win at any
Chris
given
Bell
time.
could win. Chris Bell could win.
We've seen Logano win here we've seen Logano win here in the next gen. We've seen Byron win here in the next gen. We're high on Preece. Ty Gibbs has the speed that can come out of anywhere. And with Bowman, I said to begin the show, he kind of has sucked shit at Darlington, but he also had kind of sucked shit at Homestead and was 4 laps and hitting the wall away from winning that race. So I think that it's almost a little bit of a coin flip, maybe like if odd was at minus 105, minus 110, you probably would get me. But a minus 160 versus a plus 130, I'm taking my even guys all day.
Yeah, this is the difference in me and you every single day as bettors. Like I'm willing to just drink all the juice if I feel really good about it. And 6 in the top 7, I can't get away from it. I trust our projections, but I understand here. Let us know down in the comments or the live chat. Do you guys like the odd number of cars to win, or do you like the even numbers?
And you can almost consider it to be a bit of a hedge too. If I like some of the odd number guys in my bets, I'll hedge myself, throw a little bit on this even number, go against our projections, have a little bit just in case our projections end up being a little fucky, which thankfully has not really happened this year. They've been pretty spot on, which is awesome. But just in case, you never know.
Yeah. We got a wild Xfinity race that's going off here this weekend as well, Elliot. Going to be absolutely insane. We got 3 Cup Series regulars that are going to be in it. Chase Elliott's going to be running that 17. You also got Ross Chastain, who's going to be in a Junior Motorsports 9 car. And then, of course, Christopher Bell holding down a Joe Gibbs racing car. So kind of a tough, really, really tough race to comp here and break down, just because you do have so many elite drivers. You got Gator out there as well. So what are your thoughts here on the Xfinity race overall? I know neither of you, neither of us, I guess actually you might have an outright here, but not on any of the heavy favorites. How do you kind of just feel on like those heavy favorites that we're not going to really touch on or bet on tonight, whether that's the Chris Bells or Ross? Like, I don't mind if you want to take a flyer. I might be taking a flyer on Gator or Chase just at their numbers. Yeah,
and my outright, we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. I'm going back to the well and Sheldon Creed in the 00.
You're a sicko.
Hold on, hear me out. Because I almost had to talk myself into this bet also. And I did hedge myself. I put this at 10-1 on Bet365 with the win place for 4 places. So a top 4 will win me some percentage here. And I know it won't be easy. You just said it. Bell, Ross, and Chase all in the field. But this is one of Creed's favorite tracks. No better time than right here. Going through 4 of his last 5 here. P2, P8, P9, and then P3. Had this race won last fall. Had a late caution and lost it. Guess who was in the field that day last fall when Creed had him waxed? Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, Noah Gragson, and Joey Logano. So that's the 3 same Cup guys plus 2 extra Cup guys, granted in worse equipment, Rhett Jones and the AM racing car.
Yeah, I was about to say, what is Ross running? Yeah.
Ross may have been in a worse car too. But it's the same 3 guys that are in the field, and Creed had it won, had led 30-some laps, and just got bit with a late caution. I know maybe the Haas car is not as good as the JGR either. Point is, though, Sheldon Creed is still one of those. He's come so damn close. Last week at Martinsville, ran top 4, had that outside lane on all those restarts, could never get enough of a long run to get by. And even how many more ways can this guy lose a race? because he has all that shit happen at the front of the field,
Mm-hmm.
and he's right there, but Austin Hill is this far in front of him. Creed ends up with, I think, his 14th second place finish. I'm saying it's done this weekend. It's Sheldon Creed's weekend to show up on the Cup, guys, in that Road Ranger 00. Not a throwback is the only drawback against Creed for me this week, especially at a 10-1. Big numbers for some of these Xfinity guys, like you were saying, with these heavy hitters in the field that don't always win when they're here.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to come in today and there'd be a Sheldon Creed outright thrown out in this particular Xfinity race, but I hope to God you hit him because you bet him enough for the win that
that was before I dug into my research and realized, oh shit, these same three guys ran. It was going to be all right. If he can't do it this week, I'm laying off him for a little bit. But I'm on board with Creed. We talked about it. Haas factory team running better in the Xfinity series than they are in Cup or in F1 for sure. And there's still certainly some hope there with Sam Mayer as well as Creed. Drifted out to 1,100. Must get on Haas cars this weekend. Thank you very much for being with me on this one.
Yeah, Eric saying Sam Mayer, only guy that could hang with Larson at Homestead at our last comp track and would have smoked the field if Larson wasn't in it. Haas to win. Look, I get it. I also I see that Haas has had some speed here. Cole Custer also in that 00 had a great run here in the spring last year. So look, I totally get it, boys and girls, but I'm not afraid to fade him. I ain't afraid to fade him at the same time. Give me Justin Allgaier, Lil Gator, -125 at DraftKings over Sam Mayer. This is my only Xfinity bet so far this weekend. 3.5 units down on it. Justin Allgaier, 7-0 all-time against Mayer at Darlington. Mayer, average finish in that span of 15.1. Gator, 4.43 average finish, all inside the top 10, 4 inside the top 5, 2 wins in there as well. I'm also going to be looking some other ways to get down on Gator, maybe whether that's the top 3, whether that's potentially taking a little nibble on the outright or the win place 4 that I could potentially get over at Bet365, like you mentioned. 2-0, the last 2 Homestead races as well. Like, I get that Mayer was faster than him in some of that race, but at the same time, like, I don't trust Sam Mayer in a race like this. Like, I don't know if I trust Sam Mayer to really put it together. I trust Justin Allgaier. Not only does he have the best series average running finish or average running position of 7.3 among the regular drivers in this field, but at the same time, it really feels like to me, man, like that championship really took the monkey off his back. Same with that like Daytona 500 top 10 run. Just feels like this guy's in a really good place. He's finishing races finally. I like him. I bet him a lot this season in matchups. He's come through for me every time. This is also down to -150 for Gator at ESPN. So I think getting here -125, it's clear value for me. I'm going to go with a little JRM versus Haas Factory this weekend.
You make a good point about Allgaier, that not that he doesn't care about winning. Obviously, he's done it multiple times this year, but he's almost playing with house money. He's got the title, got a good Daytona 500 run for his boss that really gave him a chance to go be an Xfinity champion. I hadn't thought of it that way before. I liked that you had this bet because I wanted to include that Haas throwback in there, even with the Kurt Busch 2017 Daytona car.
Ooh.
The 7 probably can run better than the 41 with that grass on the hood of the 41 car. I'll say that.
for sure. We got Erickson. How dare you, Seth? I'm sorry about it, brother. I'm sorry. Hill over Allgaier. Nick, is there a bet for this? I would gladly take Allgaier if there's a bet out there for this. I don't think there is, but if you see a line, let me know. I would pay some juice on Gator. We got our guy Brian. What's up, Brian? Good to see you, man. Saying Gator has 3 top 5s in all 5 spring Darlington races since we started coming here twice a season in 2020. You've been warned. Yeah, maybe I should get on the top 3. I was seeing, like, for me, it was like I saw his top 5 line very close to this over Sam Mayer line. I was like, yeah, I think he can. I think he's probably top 6 car this week, but Brian's got some confidence in him, so maybe I'll go back to the drawing board. But yeah, do like Justin Allgaier, 7-1 floating out there for the outright. So might be investing with him there. Elliot, before we move off Xfinity, you have one more bet, which is slowly becoming a little fan favorite over here at the program, even though Jeb Bush not too much of a fan of this guy.
Jeb Burton. Oh, yeah. I just wrote a number 7 on my note sheet.
What am I thinking?
Thinking too much about politics. This ain't politics. It's the fucking Backroad. Yeah, I just wrote the 7 on my paper over here. Throw a little bit more down on Allgaier. Daniel Dye for the top 10, still out at 8-1, running that Adam Petty throwback in the colleague number 10 this week. Last 3 races, P12, P9, P7. This is a guy who's really starting to hit his stride. I know he's taking advantage of a little bit of fuckery to get there, But it was your bet, Seth, for a top 10 a couple weeks ago that really put him on the radar for me, watching out with him against Harrison Burton and guys like that.
Yeah.
He's been showing better speed lately. We know the colored cars don't suck. We know that Dye's still a young driver who's learning. I know that this number is probably longer because you have the Cup guys in the field, because you have guys like Allgaier and Creed who are pretty dominant here. But an 8-1 is too long of a number for a guy who's been top 12 the last 3 races. And especially around that 8th, 9th, 10th range, you got 6, 7, 8 guys that really can rotate along with there, including Harrison Burton, Christian Eckes, guys like that. Daniel Dye's had a good couple of weeks. I'm keeping the momentum rolling at the Lady in Black.
I might ride with you actually on another Daniel Dye. Like, I don't want to just hold your hands. Like, I'll tell you when I think you have a shit bet, but this is not a shit
you've
bet.
done that tonight, bud. Don't worry.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't like.
I just messaged you,
No, and that's what we're supposed to do here. Like, I want to speak honestly. Like, we can't always be hand holding, we can't always be squad riding, but this is one.
Yeah.
Like, just at Homestead a couple weeks ago, we saw him finish 9th. That's our closest comp track. And at Vegas, another race that really got strung along, as you said, top 12 finish for him there too. 8-1, or yeah, if it's still 8-1, curious what ESPN has. It's probably still close to 8-1. So, I think Daniel Dye at that price tag, you might as well take a little flyer on him. Had a good run at Martinsville despite pissing not a former presidential candidate Jeb Bush off, but Jeb Burton, who we were trying to get home last week on that top 10.
Yeah, and the books haven't quite caught up the Dye like they have on Harrison Burton, was floating around like a 250, 275 for top 10 this week. Books have caught up on him a little bit. They haven't quite caught up on Dye yet.
Yeah, take it while you can get it, baby. Take it while you can get it for sure. All right, Elliot, what do you say, man? We got I will say this. I'll start out by saying we are going to some F1 fuckery, and I've not been great at comping F1 and handicapping this series so far this season. I'm 0-2. Had a good IndyCar start to the season, but not great on F1. But Elliot, you've been throwing out some bangers. We have Nicolette out there on the website, inbetweenmedia.com, throwing out an F1 betting article each week too. You guys have been coming home with some. So what do you have here for this week, and thoughts and overall explanation of this great race that we're going to see this weekend?
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about F1 too is you can bet on every damn thing that can happen in F1 weekend. I was looking at these bets. You can bet on F1 practice results. Imagine if we could bet on who's going to be the fastest in practice in NASCAR. It's certainly wild. But yeah, F1 still in Asia. They had their 2 weeks and then a week off, and now they are in Japan for the Japanese Grand Prix. And I got to go with the hometown kid here, Yuki Tsunoda, for a top 6. We're going to run it back at plus 125 on Bet365. Even if it's a bit of monkey's paw type of deal, Yuki Tsunoda finally getting his chance in the main Red Bull car. Has run for their sister team for years, finally getting a shot at his home race, the Japanese GP, in that absolutely beautiful white livery there, getting his shot. It's a beautiful car, and I feel like he's going to show him how it's done. I feel like Liam Lawson does not fit that car well. I feel like Yuki, certainly a better driver and a guy who will run that car, even if it's not the best in the field anymore, even if McLaren and maybe Ferrari and maybe Mercedes are kind of catching up to him, if not jumped over them. I feel like Yuki has all the momentum on his side, finally getting his chance, going to run out there and get this car back to where it should be, back to why they made the swap so quickly. They know they fucked up, and they know that Yuki Tsunoda deserves this car, and he's going to show them right away. Plus 125 for a top 6 over on Bet365. Similar number on other books too. F1 is certainly more standardized than NASCAR along the way.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, man. Like, while I'm not the biggest F1 bettor, while I'm not the biggest F1 fan, at the same time, I recognize Yuki as being just kind of this talented guy who's been scrapping his way through the series. Kind of reminds me of a Chris Buescher, right? Like when you compare it to NASCAR, kind of someone who just gets the most out of his equipment, isn't going to go out there, isn't going to win GPs, but can certainly get it done from a placement prop perspective. Plus 125 in his first stint here.
I get it's risky, especially because Liam Lawson ran so terribly in that car. But the books in the grid know that it is not that far back on Verstappen. I know Max certainly probably the best raw driver in the field, not in the best car anymore. Probably going to run it a little better. Yuki, though, I feel like I said, he's got the momentum. He's got the driving skill. Been criminally underrated for a while now. Getting in this good car, super exciting.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see maybe what the double Red Bull top 10 is. I mean, it's still probably pretty juice. Probably, maybe minus 200, maybe close to it.
Yeah,
but
I believe it was something in that range.
Because, like, I'm kind of with you that I think this could be a big Red Bull weekend, dude. I'm going Max Verstappen, podium finish, even money. Yeah, ESPN bet. I'm going 1.5 units on this, boys and girls. And, like, who would have thought that, like, taking Red Bull is kind of like the contrarian play right now, right? Like it really is. But Max has had a pretty damn good season so far, man. Finishes the second and fourth so far. Average starting position of 3.5. So he's right about there. Like he's right about there. I looked at the top 4 line. It was very heavy minus money. So I got to take a little bit of risk there. But like, I feel good about it with Max here, dude. I feel good about it because this is one of his best tracks. Like, I know that's hard to say because he's been dominating this series for years and years and years and years. But at the same time, 3 straight wins here and 6 straight podium finishes. If you remove the 2019 Japanese GP, where he lost his brakes in that race. So I think Max is going to have a really good day here. I know we've seen some speed out of Lewis Hamilton. I know we've seen some speed out of some other cars, but it really feels like to me, it's got to be Piastri. It's got to be his teammate, or it's got to be Max Verstappen. Like whether you like Lando, whether you like Oscar, or whether it's Verstappen here, I think they're all interested in, and also kind of an interesting market out there was fastest lap market, Elliot. I think I might be taking a little sprinkle on Max and both those boys, those McLaren boys, to fire it up there. But thoughts here on Verstappen and kind of the top dogs in general here?
Yeah, on the fastest lap, though, I do like your point on that. I think that market is going to become more bettable because they did the reverse of what NASCAR did. That is no longer a championship point in F1. So you're not going to see guys, if their day is screwed, they're going to take a late pit stop, go out there and run the fastest lap just to salvage a point out of their day, even though they ran 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th all day, not anywhere in the points, if not worse than that. I feel like that market will become more predictable. And I feel like the outright market, you got to go one of the 2 McLarens, but it's at least better than when Max was winning all the races because you can flip between Lando and Oscar, even though the odds are pretty similar for both of them. I don't like betting Max for an outright, but for a podium, though, definitely a fan. He's got the stats here, even though, again, you can look at it as, okay, Max is great here, or okay, Red Bull was so far and away the best car the last couple of years, and that's why he won. But this is probably your way to bet Max, even though even money's not my favorite number. And imagine any sort of plus money on Max within the last couple of years would be shocking. So even money for a podium finish for Max, I like this bet too.
If he can go out there and in qualities put it top 4, like you're in business, right? If he starts much further back, you might be fucked, and you got to probably hedge with one of the McLaren boys, or maybe a 1-2 finish, something like that. That might be interesting. Have you ever considered something like that, like a 1-2 finish for the McLarens?
Man, it's out there. And I don't, so for this show, I do a lot of the NASCAR bets. Obviously, we just throw in a little F1 at the end. I dig a little deeper into the F1 markets before the race weekend. Each of the 2 race weekends so far, I've had 5 or more different F1 bets, whether it was for the sprint in China last week, or for qualifying or the Grand Prix that I've thrown in the Discord there. So obviously, being a NASCAR show, I know some people, you may have already tuned out by the F1 part. Hopefully that's not the case, because we like making you money regardless of what car is out on the track. And we like to do that with F1 too. But I definitely dig more into that because there is just so much. I mean, practice bets and quality bets, and this guy out in Q1, Q2, Q3, and even separate like race markets. It's just so much out there, but there is so much opportunity to dig in on the F1 market too. So I'm glad we devote a little bit of time to it here at the end of the shows.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's motorsports betting. If you like NASCAR betting, you're probably going to somewhat like F1 betting. If you don't like F1 betting, you might like IndyCar betting. There's so much out there, man. I don't think I'll ever see myself venturing in like Supercross or, NHRA or something, like getting real crazy out there. But yeah, dude, I love motorsports. Love chopping it up with y'all. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Easiest way you can support us, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also subscribe to the channel if you're new. We got NASCAR motorsports betting over here on the Backroad. We also have the 19th hole. It's giving you our best PGA bets of the week. And then you got the IBT Fantasy Football Podcast covering NFL from a gambling and fantasy perspective. We also got some college football content here on the channel, some entertainment betting stuff. And Elliot, the IBT Racing family, if you want to tell everyone about that too, that's another non-free way that you can support us and hang out with some of our closest friends in this business.
Yeah, like I was talking about, a lot of the extra bets that we're able to throw out, we can give you as much as we can here on a Thursday night, but things change throughout the weekend.
Yes.
And we are all in it. Thankfully, our fam is all in it too, in the IBT Racing family. Gives you full access to our exclusive weekly betting model. You can get a top 10 preview and understand kind of how we put it together. in our bets article that comes out Friday mornings. Like I said, gives you unfiltered conversation with myself, with Rod, with Seth, with Ryan from My Fantasy Race, and gives you entry into our bigger memorabilia giveaways, such as signed stuff that we've given away and will continue to give away as the year goes on.
Yes, I believe just a couple weeks ago, our guy Zach, he just got the Ross Chastain helmet in the mail. He said he was going to drop a picture of that in the Discord. So excited to see him posing with that and add that to his collection. Also, Ross Chastain fans, so that worked out perfectly. I appreciate that. I appreciate Trav, one of our other Discord members, like very graciously he won that and he gave it back up for auctions. That's super cool, man. We appreciate that. We got some more autograph stuff for you. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, also, we got some micro giveaways we like to do here on the program as well. Elliot's got a couple die casts out there. I don't know if you've heard any of these old Kenny Schrader stories that Dale likes to tell out there on the download, but Kenny Schrader sounds like quite the man. Sounds like he could crush a couple Busch Lattes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Herman Schrader show on Dirty Mo's and entertaining to listen to. But yeah, we're trying to promote reviews on our audio version on Apple Podcasts as well, giving out Josh Berry Dover 2022 race version 164, as well as Ken Schrader number 36 M&Ms from 2000, his first year in that car. Not sure exactly how we're going to figure that out, whether we can look at the reviews or not, or just have to rely on the honor system through the comments. But either way, we are still going to continue some of the micro giveaways in the same fashion that we did last year too. But like we said, if you are gracious enough to make that donation, join the IBT Racing family, we certainly are forever grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you guys just want to go over there to Apple and give us a quick 5 stars, and you don't have to write anything. If you can just give us 5 stars and subscribe, like that will go a long way. That will help us so much. And so we are so grateful for you. We're so grateful for you hanging out with us on YouTube. Shout out to our girl Nicolette in the back doing the Lord's work over there, hanging out with us Stooges for a good 90 minutes every single Thursday night. So we appreciate it. Elliot, thank you so much. I don't think I'm going to be on the program next week, and but you and Rod, I know, will hold it down, and forever grateful for that, my friend.
Yep, couple of two-person shows probably the next couple of weeks, but Lord knows it'll be the same fun experience rolling on down the back road. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.